Hey everyone, thanks so much. I'll let it settle down for a second. It looks like people are changing out. I'm Rich Baldassari. I'm a global product lead on monetization across apps and games. And I have the privilege of being accompanied on stage today by one of our illustrious PMs on the monetization team, Jostten, who will walk you through in detail some of the changes and updates that we're making to the play buy flow. So, we've been listening to your feedback over the last several years, and we're happy to say that we've made big strides in addressing much of what we've heard from you. The challenges associated with games duplicating SKUs to run a weekend deal. Maybe you lose the attention of your users when they're in their prime moment of purchase because they run out of coins or they don't have the available items. Perhaps you were having trouble communicating or moving those users through that buy flow. So today we're going to run through a couple of these things really quickly. You may have seen some of them in the keynote, but we'll go into a little bit more detail. And we're going to move pretty quick. So please keep your questions in mind or the topics that you want us to cover at the end. And we'll leave as much time as possible for Q&A. And then, as Tom mentioned earlier, you're always welcome to find us or reach out to your Google contacts, and we can follow up offline later. So first, let's talk about the foundation. Monetization isn't possible without the users. And so Play brings you a global audience of millions and millions of users and devices around the world. In order for those users to engage with your content, it's important they have the FOP, the way to pay, the form of payment that's most relevant and useful to them. This includes hundreds of FOPs globally, including local payment methods that we have available in each and every market. In order to take advantage of that, it's important that you have your catalog set up properly. Now, based on your feedback, we have increased the flexibility and functionality of our one-time purchases. And I'll go into some detail of all of that new functionality that will be coming to the platform. But what's important to understand here is that we're separating the what you sell from how you sell, giving you the opportunity to have much more flexibility in the way that you engage with your audiences. Now, this flexibility will come with some trade-offs, namely the deprecation of pricing templates on the platform. You'll still be able to modify existing SKUs using our app API, and you'll also be able to make changes within the console moving forward. However, we're going to be introducing a new monetization API that will allow you to manage, create, and update SKUs at the base item, entitlement, and offer levels. This change brings us into parity with our subscription platform. So if you remember from a few years ago, for those of you who are offering subscriptions within your game, we had the idea of separating what you sell by having the entitlement at the SKU level, allowing you to publish base plans underneath that. And these could be all the different durations. It could be recurring or non-recurring. And underneath that, you would place your offers. Very similar construct coming to one-time purchases, with the SKU holding the entitlement, the purchase options being below, and then nesting those offers underneath. So rather than publishing innumerable numbers of SKUs across your catalog, every time you want to offer something very particular, maybe it's an offer in a country or a weekend sale, now you can layer those base items underneath your SKU. The entitlement doesn't change, it's just where and how you're selling it. Furthermore, you could add offers underneath those base items. These could be in terms of price discounts in dollars or percentages, giving you flexibility further in the platform. And I'll go into a little bit more detail on how purchase options are going to become very important, meaning we're going to have different ways of selling items rather than just a single consumption or non-consumable. First, pre-orders will be coming to the platform. We'll take on a lot of the work of managing those pre-orders. Simply publish a new SKU, let us know that it'll be a pre-order item, let us know when you plan to launch it and the price that you would like to offer it at in pre-order, as well as the launch price. And then we can manage the rest. So when the user goes to purchase during pre-order, potentially you would offer them a slight discount so you could measure their engagement and see the excitement around that new offer. And then, when it becomes available to the general public, we'll automatically raise that price up so that everyone's purchasing later pays at the full price. We're introducing rentals as well for time-gated offers. Now, this is something that's familiar to everyone around movies and potentially books, but think about it for in-game content where you really want to have a time duration of that item being available. This could be for access to premium content. Maybe it's access to a certain character, a boost, some type of premium experience. You choose the duration that makes sense for the user, that experience and that item, and then we can help you handle that duration timeline. And finally, auto top-ups. We mentioned this in years past. This will be coming out into general access soon. But this is where one-time purchases and subscriptions start to merge. Maybe a user is a couple gems short of publishing something, building a castle, or maybe there's a few boosts that they need in order to uncover something. You don't want them moving out of your in-game experience and into a random buy flow and then having them come back in. And so what auto top-ups does is allows the user to set up a wallet, essentially, at whatever amount they would like. And then they can set up the boost threshold or the top-up threshold. You call the API, and then an out-of-session payment will ensure that those coins or gems or tokens will be added to the wallet, meaning the user doesn't have to be interrupted, and as soon as they fall below the threshold, they're topped up again. So this is where we start seeing an overlap between how users want to purchase and what you're offering. We find that one-time purchases and subscriptions address all types of user needs and demands. We also find that developers who are more advanced leverage both. Perhaps in the past you've been using one-time purchases, either as consumables or non-consumables, to offer your battle passes. We think this is great, but we want to help in order to bring this into a more predictable revenue stream for you through subscriptions. How can we help you move into this next iteration of subscriptions? Please let us know. We're currently doing exploration and research on this, and we'd like to hear from you. Is it a simple matter of aligning billing dates with your content drops? Or is it more complicated in that your subscriptions are a little bit more fragmented throughout the year? Maybe you don't launch things every single month to your battle pass. But we want to figure out if we can help you so that the users can go through one buy flow and then continually get access to the content that they want, making revenue on play more predictable and investments in the platform easier for you. Advanced developers, we've seen, almost 50% of the top apps on Play are leveraging some combination of one-time purchases and subscriptions. Maybe it's a one-time purchase to initiate the first purchase and then transition into a more advanced subscription for VIP or advanced users, or vice versa. But hybrid is definitely a trend that we're seeing, and we want to see how we can help you take advantage of it. Finally, when we think about our subscription platform, this launched a while ago, but we wanted to bring this up to your attention for reconsideration if you haven't already explored it. Similar to how auto top-ups are bringing subscriptions to one-time purchases, we've previously brought one-time purchases to our subscription platform. And so prepaid plans allows you to sell a user a certain duration of access to premium content. The user can add additional months on top of that, but these operate much more like a one-time purchase within our subscription infrastructure. But we'll be sending you real-time developer notifications, and you'll be able to track it just as you would a subscription, allowing you to trigger a notification to the user, allowing them to top up when they need to. Now, once you have all of this infrastructure built, the buy flow is going to be top of mind for you. And so I'm going to hand it over to Jostten to walk you through some of the updates that we've made.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah. Hi, everyone. So building on a lot of what Rich mentioned, when it comes to the buy flow, really that foundation comes with making sure you're integrating with Play Billing Library to get the most out of it. So it's things like making sure you're calling APIs correctly, delivering items even outside of app purchases or things like that, and checking that the SKUs are defined and set up well within console. And so as part of our commitment to you is to get users purchase ready. So that's having that form of payments and that authentication set up so they can make purchases swiftly and securely and get back to enjoying your game. So we recently crossed over 800 million purchase-ready users on the platform to make those transactions even smoother. Over this past year, we worked very closely with one of our largest developers in TikTok to really dive into their pain points as a developer, their users' pain points. So they told us this led to a 6% lift in their conversion, and these are generalizable benefits that we've already rolled out to the platform and are currently helping your games today. And so now I want to walk through some of those changes. And so the way we thought about this was to really deep dive into the buy flow and really break it down to the life cycle of things. So we took a very granular approach to look at everything that happens from that moment before the buy flow, the buy sheet itself, and then what are ways that we can re-engage users afterwards. And so starting here on before that buy sheet, that buy button loads, we've done a lot of work in really optimizing this. And so underscoring that importance of purchase readiness for users that need to add that form of payment, we now have ML ranking to make sure we're serving like the prioritizing rather, the right form of payment for the right user. Then moving to the actual buy sheet, we're running a constant set of UX experiments here to refine and improve and drive performance gains for you. But one we wanted to highlight was drawing more attention to these forms of payments. So both in whether it's a form of payment offer that might be sponsored, which could help attract some of those more price-sensitive users, or if it's a new local payment method, as we continue to expand that and make sure that we have the best local payment coverage, regardless of where your users are actually located. And then looking at after that purchase or non-purchase, we've heard from a lot of developers that sometimes that messaging that they receive or their users receive is not always the most intuitive. So this has been another focal point of where we're investing. So to make sure that you're getting intuitive and actionable feedback on just what you can do there to make the most of it. And so this is one example. So a pending purchase, like a cash FOP transaction, or maybe like an ask to buy from a child to a parent account, where we improve this messaging so it's super crisp for the user on what actions they can take to either complete that payment or withdraw it and start a new one. So really recapping here, we've took a very segmented approach to optimize every point of the buy flow, something we're continuing to do heading into next year. Excited for all of the improvements we'll see here. Sorry, to back up, we're already seeing the dividends pay off from this. So year to date, we've seen a $650 million increase in user spending across the platform. For new paying users, we've seen that increase by 7%, and we're seeing the efficiency gains come along that as well. So a 3% boost to conversion. And despite that, and despite our improvements to optimize that buy flow and get the most out of users in that moment, it's inevitable, it's just not going to be the right time for some users. And so we're also investing in ways that we can help you re-engage those users at a time that's right for them. So I have a couple of ways we want to talk about that here. So first with purchase flow recommendations. So either in that exact moment that they're leaving the buy flow, we have ways to suggest maybe a better fit SKU, perhaps a better price point for them to help them get that over that hump and more comfortable with that purchase. We've also launched cart abandonment reminders. So for users that don't complete that purchase in session, a way to re-engage them while they're browsing Games Home. So we have billions of people on Games Home every month, so a very active presence for users, active surface for users, but helping them easily pick up from where they left off at a time that might be right for them. And maybe the last thing to call out or emphasize here is maybe one of the areas I'm personally most excited about is the potential for price experiments and localized pricing. So I heard some questions on this earlier today, but for one of the things I think we really do well, we're really excited about as a platform is just how globally diverse and globally distributed our user base is. And maybe one implication of that is the price that you charge in country A might not make the most sense for users in country B. And so we've built a lot of functionality in our platform to make this easy for you to test separate pricing across markets so you can kind of meet users where they are. And then very quickly and efficiently understand how that's working for you in console. So being able to easily run these A/B tests and understand how to make the best pricing for your users and to meet your business goals. So if you're interested in this, working on it, thinking about it, would love to chat more. But for now, I want to toss it back to Rich.
Thanks, Jostten.
Yeah.
And while this is already GA, we'd love to hear feedback on you and how we can actually improve it. So Jostten and the team are actively still developing and building off of this GA feature. So moving into the future on Play, these are some of the things that are extremely early. We're exploring and building and experimenting, but we wanted to share them with you today while we have you here to get your feedback and thoughts. One of the first big initiatives that the team is working on is dynamic optimizations. So here you could think about leveraging Google's AI and ML capabilities to enhance your overall targeting and your offerings to your users. The notion here is that we have a lot of data at Google. We also have a lot of skilled engineers that are working on these models to figure out what the best opportunity is for the best user at the right time. So how can we get nudges from you to inform these models to be more accurate, and how can we get this information back to you so that you can be hyper-targeted and super efficient with the offerings that you're bringing to your users. We've started this experiment already on the subscription side, and so this will be happening soon. For those of you who don't offer subscriptions, I'll just give a quick overview of what grace period is. So when a user's form of payment fails, there's two options. They can either enter grace period first, which retains access to any premium content associated with that subscription. And then, at the end of grace period, or if grace period is unavailable, they move into account hold, where they no longer have access to the content, but they can fix their form of payment and easily start using that content again. So grace period's a little bit of a challenge, and it's kind of a blunt instrument at the time. So you can either have it or not, and not all users are equal. So maybe, if a user's coming from a free trial, they shouldn't get grace period and retain access while their form of payment has failed. Alternatively, if you have a VIP user who's been on your platform for a very long time, you might want to encourage them to just stick with the platform and get to fixing that FOP when it's convenient for them and not in that immediate experience, so it doesn't jolt them out of a pleasurable experience within your app. So here we want to use our systems and tools to broaden your targeting and allow for a very broad tool to become a surgical instrument to target the right users with the right offers, decreasing the cost of the offering and increasing the recovery rates over time. This EAP will be starting soon, but we're planning on building on top of this. So if there are features and opportunities that you can think of that you'd like to partner with us on, please let us know. Our next step is probably going to be into the offer space, thinking about which offers should be offered to what user at what time, what should happen throughout life cycles when a user's engaged with content, disengages, and then re-engages. What kind of models can we use to help you with those decisions? So let us know where you think you might be able to apply dynamic optimizations moving forward. We covered a ton of stuff, both in this session and outside of this session, to help you monetize your apps. What's important is discoverability of those opportunities, measurement of them, estimating what the overall impact of that could be. So we want to help you to be able to identify these recommendations, prioritize them in a way that fits your business needs, and then help you adopt them over time, connecting you with the right documentation and the right opportunity all at once. Finally, we want to help you look at the ROI to make sure that you made that right decision. And so we're working on this new developer toolkit that was mentioned during the keynote earlier this morning. So our team is exploring ways of bringing this information into the console. What you're seeing here is the value of Play banner and recommendations in the monetization overview page within the Play console. Here you're going to have an overview of all of the monetization options, some of the key metrics, and then when you deep dive into those metrics, we'll provide you with opportunities and potentially even forecasts associated with those new features you might consider adopting. And if that opportunity looks right and good to you, we'll help you with the integration, connecting you directly with the integration guides as well as any kind of documentation that might be most relevant. This is just the beginning and the first step, and we're looking forward to launching this on console. Again, if you'd like to partner with us on any of this or other EAPs, reach out to your Google contacts and let us know. Finally, for developers who have large catalogs, maybe user-generated content, maybe you just have a lot of offerings. We've heard you. It's a challenge to publish and modify and manage large catalogs on Play. So now, with a new dynamic model, you'll have the same kind of hierarchy associated with what we discussed earlier for subscriptions, potentially one-time purchases in the future, where you have that object-based model of a predefined catalog, but you'll be able to dynamically define, modify, update, and manage in near real time. So you can add different SKUs. Let's say in this example, you have a show. You don't necessarily need to publish a SKU for every single season. You could just publish one SKU for the show, and then maybe put additional ones underneath for each season. So more to come here. This is extremely early stage for us, but we wanted to share this with you in case you were interested in helping us build it.